When we examine our faith, we find the words death and eternal life in the 66 books of the Bible. We are able to know that the Bible is largely filled with words of truth concerning life. Therefore, today, let us together examine the words of truth with the sermon titled Death and Eternal Life. As we study and examine the words of truth in the Bible, we find that its entire message can be distilled into two words. One is the word death, and the other is the concept of eternal life. Even if we look at the history of Adam and Eve, the first sinners, we see in the book of Genesis that in the middle of the garden stood the tree of death, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and also the tree of life, which grants eternal life to those who eat from it. From that opening account, this theme of death and eternal life continues all the way to the book of Revelation. Were death not a reality for us, we might perceive no great necessity for a life of faith. However, because we were sinful souls who were destined to die forever, the teaching of the Bible is this: God breaks all the chains of death and leads us to the way of eternal life. Jesus, too, came to this earth to lead us, who were destined for eternal death, to the way of eternal life by granting us the forgiveness of sins. This was the very reason he was crucified on the cross. Within the law of Moses, death was the inevitable consequence of failing to follow God's decrees, statutes, and laws. Therefore, God granted us those very laws to give us life. Indeed, to give us eternal life, and to provide a way for us to live. This matter of death and eternal life also continues when we look at the history of Moses' time. Moving into the New Testament, Jesus helped us enlighten all the truths concerning the kingdom of heaven, teaching us, because you are destined to die, eternal life is an absolute necessity for you. To receive that eternal life, you must believe in me. You must believe the words I speak, and you must also believe in the kingdom of heaven, which I tell you exists. You must also believe in hell, which I have taught you exists. Ultimately, all the teachings show that from Genesis to Revelation, from the beginning of humanity to the end of the world, everything is framed by the conflict between death and eternal life. Regarding eternal life, let us all turn together to the book of 1 John. In 1 John chapter 2 verse 25, it is written, "And this is what he promised us." What is it? Eternal life. This is the most precious promise. The world is gradually being transformed by materialism. In their hearts, many people wish for a time when everything they touch turns to gold, believing that to be the greatest good. However, if that wish came true, if it truly came to pass, would they be truly happy? They could not be happy. This is why God, knowing what is most precious and what brings us true happiness, promised us eternal life. Therefore, those who wish to know the truth, seek God, and live a life of faith, must first and foremost find the way to obtain life.